this manna might. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grind it. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.
Mark Henry here on the On Your Mark Show, powered and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. Play I Compete right here on the Fishbowl Radio Network. It's Wednesday. We're up here to educate and elevate you, man. My guy, Coach Jay, calling in today, and got my guy, Jordan Grant. I told you would be seeing this guy a little bit more, man. NIL agent, recruiting expert. We're going to talk some recruiting nuggets today. Camp season, it's in full swing. It started really kind of May 31st, June 1st. It's in full swing. We're going to talk about how you camp, different things involved with camp. There's, different topics and things that go into how you camp. Should you be going to camps? How you should be presenting yourself when you go to camps, man. Of course, Coach Jay, Coast to Coast Athletic, Epic Sports Apparel CEO. My guy, Jordan Grant. What it do? How you doing, baby?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Coach?
Man, maintain it. Coach Jay.
What's good, man? It's Wednesday. Let's get it.
Yeah, I know it, man. Middle of the week, but it's why we do it. So let's talk about camps. Talk about recruiting. Coach Jay, a couple of posts that you made this week, I thought were needle turners. It was a kind of a knee jerk thing. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that it would kind of hit it on the head. But I thought this was a very, very good topic to kind of kick the show off with. I'm going to read the post, and then I want to get your opinion, and Jordan will dive into it. But this was a post you made from a couple days ago. If you're going into your senior year with no P4 offers, don't expect anything from that level as far as athletic scholarship money this late in the game. Some situations it may happen, but rule of thumb, it's not happening at that level. Focus should honestly be on NAIA, D2, D3, possibly JUCO, and putting out a product if any one of them bite on. It's guys moving down from P4 and guys moving up from the lower level schools. So get in where you can, continue to play, make a move if it comes later. Parents don't understand that, a lot of parents don't understand that just because you play the game that you are on a level playing field. So if you're going to only P4 camps this summer, you're risking not putting yourself in a position to be truly looked at once the season starts. So that puts the 2025 class right in the in headshot. You know what I'm saying? That's to those guys that are flying under the radar. Those guys that don't have the offers from schools that they're camping at the Power 4 level, and you go to these camps, you're still attempting to try to get an offer, but from your comment, you're not on their radar, Coach Jay. Just kind of kick it off, and then Jordan, I'll let you respond to that as well.
Well, basically, Mark, what I mean by that, trying to get parents to really understand that you have your junior year is a very important recruiting year, especially if we're talking P4. That is the year that they have access to you. That is the year that they're going to look at your film, come to the games, talk to you in person, woo you, try to get you on campus, all of those things. So you have between the time that school starts, your first game, and then Christmas break, and then spring, right? Normally, and pretty much everybody will say the same thing. Normally, if the season passes and Christmas break comes around and they haven't offered, they probably already moved on. When they come in the spring, they're not looking at you anymore. They're looking at the rising juniors, but there are instances where, a kid is a late bloomer. He shot up, got a little faster. You might sneak in there somewhere. But later on down the line, we can talk about value when it comes to late bloomers and things like that. But in this instance, you have really your season, and some guys may have the spring. But once we start talking about camp season, if nobody bites in P4 wise, I would shift my focus to schools that are recruiting senior year, meaning schools like D2, D3, NAI that offer kids their senior year. Very few P4s offer guys that they haven't been looking at their senior year. Again, unless you do something, major, or they've just been watching you for a very long time, and then they finally see something that warrants them to say, again, we're going to give you scholarship money, right? So the miscommunication or misconception is, that my kid, plays football, he's good, and he wants to go Power 5. And that's fine. But when we're talking them giving you athletic scholarships, let's make it make sense. If I can go and if I'm a Power 4, if I can go and recruit the top 200 kids in the country that are ranked, right? Why would I go and recruit and pay a kid that's unranked, that doesn't have, anything that these other kids have as far as accolades and all the other stuff, right? So again, remember, it is a business. So I think a lot of kids get caught up, and parents get caught up in not realizing that it is a business. And again, there are some kids that slide through the cracks. It is what it is. But we're talking specifically not preferred walk on, not I'm walking on, not, you got academic scholarship. We're talking athletic money. They're not just going to give that to anybody at the P4 level. You got to have value. You got to have something, some meat on the bone for them to do that. So by the time your junior season is done and you have no P4 offers, my focus for camp season would be everybody up under that. All the schools that are actually giving out offers. There are a ton of schools that don't even offer until senior year. Those are the schools I would focus on, building a relationship with them so I don't leave, all my stock in the P4, because common sense says it's probably not going to happen. Does that make sense, Mark?
Absolutely, and that's why I wanted to bring this up today, because we're in the middle of camp season, and everything's flying fast and furious. Just about every day there's a camp somewhere on a campus, and these are the topics. And kids, parents, anybody in these guys' circles are trying to figure out how to navigate. We're constantly talking about how or which camp should we be going to. You know what I'm saying? There are, invites going out, but is it a real invite, or is it just, a payday for the school? You have to navigate. You have to have a relationship with these schools when you go to them. I don't care how big or small they are. You know what I'm saying? And, before we got on, we were talking about this, Jordan and myself, about, when to camp and when not to camp. But Jordan, I'll pass it off to you, just kind of expound on that, picking the right camps. And then, if you're not on the radar of a major college, how you should be picking the camps to go to.
So me personally, I feel that, the top guys, I feel that those guys are guys who, shouldn't really attend camps just off the strength of they may already be offered by the school. They're already highly up, on the boards. It's kind of one of those things where they're better off just, staying where they are, because those highly recruited players that attend those camps, it's a possibility that offers could be lost, that, you could be injured, your ranking can be dropped. But it's always good, too, on the other side for guys that aren't really highly recruited to attend camps like that to get exposure, because you never know. Like, it may be opportunity where, you may think that you are a receiver and they may see you as an athlete and you can play corner, things like that. So it's always important to give those guys that, aren't highly recruited a chance to attend those camps, things like that.
Well, I think that's a great topic as well, is how do you camp at the right position? And Coach Jay, I'll get your opinion on this. I was having a conversation with someone that I know about a kid that's in his family, great kid, playing the tight end position. And he went to the TCU SMU mega camp as a tight end. He's 2026, about to be a junior. He had a great season playing for East Texas, very good East Texas team. But he's probably about 6'2", maybe 6'3", 215 tight end. They use him well, but he also plays defensive end. So in the day and age of the edge rusher, and looking at those measurables, now he still has time to grow. He may grow a couple more inches, may fill out some more. But if you look at those measurables, and listen, the kid's very athletic, runs well, but, looking at his film, and, you mentioned you play DN, you could use all those skills on the other side of the ball, and his family is telling him to do that. But the kid decided to go camp at tight end because that's what he likes to do. He wants to be an offensive player. But his measurables right now don't fit power forward measurables. You got to look at the measurables of tight ends. We're talking about guys between 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", and up. Mm-hmm. When they come to Power 5 tight ends, high-level tight ends, and then you look at the NFL, it's even, the measurables have to fit.
Right.
So those are all the things you have to know how to do, and Coach Jay, talk about that a little bit, camping at the right position. Now, if you're a multiple position guy and you excel at both, then you need to work out at both. Sometimes the schools, when they invite you to a camp, they want you to see you work out at a certain position as well. That's a big thing that you have to know going in. Coach, just talk about that a little bit.
Well, I always tell my guys, number one, research is important. You have to, if I'm a tight end and I'm going to TCU and I look at their roster and I don't see a guy 6'3", and my measurables, the things that I bring to the table, I better be standing broad jump close to 10 feet, run a 4.5 in the 40. I mean, there has to be something that's going to offset the height. But if none of those things exist, then 9 times out of 10, you're probably not going to get recruited because they're always going to go with the guy with the more size because that's one thing you can't coach. You can't coach height, but they can get you faster, all of those things. So the most important thing I always tell guys is look at the roster, look at the locker room. They're going to tell you via the roster, again, unless you're just that anomaly where everything you do is above par. Right, Aaron Donald type guy, then they're gonna most likely stay true to form with the kind of guys and the body types that they recruit. So if you got 6'4", 6'5" tight ends, but 6'3" DNs, and you're 6'3" and can play DN, the key is get in where they're actually gonna look at you and value you versus you're just going because this is a position that I think I'm good at. And unfortunately, we make a mistake on that a lot of times, Mark, because, we can't project and say, well, what are they looking for? So let me give them what they're looking for so that I can have the opportunity to be recruited. But if you feel like, hey, this is, what I want to play, but I can actually play a different position where they can see you and say, okay, I can project you playing here in that position versus that one. If you go camp in a position that they don't want to see you in, then you basically wasting your money and your time going. Right. So it's important to do the research, know what they want at each school, and play to that. Let me give you guys a history lesson real quick. I'll keep it short.
Absolutely.
Down Childress played quarterback in high school because they needed a quarterback. Very athletic. Right. And I always tell people he never went to college and played quarterback. He never went to a camp and camped as a quarterback. He camped as a receiver and a DB and got recruited had very little film. Maybe his freshman year, he had film at DB and receiver because he played quarterback, started quarterback from sophomore year all the way to his senior year. So he camped at his best position. And that's what people don't understand. If he would have camped as a quarterback, he'd probably not be playing college football right now, or he'd be at a smaller school versus University of Kentucky. So just because you are playing that position for your school does not mean you have to camp at that position. Camp at the position that you're going to dominate, that I am better than most of the people that's going to get in front of me.
Do y'all think that a 6'3", 240 DN is too small for the next level for a power 4 going into the league?
I don't think it's about the measurables. It's how well they moved. When you're talking about a defensive end,
Yes, correct.
it's going to depend on how he moves. His get off. Does he have long arms? How active he is? How his motor is. How he flows from sideline to sideline. And what he runs in the 40 to 5'10" fives. That's going to tell you how quick and how much burst he has. 6'3", 240 is not a bad. From the measurable standpoints. But where does he carry his weight? Is he a big trunk guy? You know what I'm saying? And small up top, or is he a big shoulders guy, skinny ankles? So all of those things look at when the coaches look at players. Those are the things that you look at. You know what I mean? As far as you start with the measurables. If he passed the eye test when he stepped off the bus, is he 6'3" in cleats and he's more 6'1" or 6'2", really? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those are the type of things. And does he play? Fast when he's out there. You know what I'm saying? Does he take plays off? Where's his effort at? Those are the type of things that you have to put on film and put on tape. And then when, they come see you in person and when you camp, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, and Coach Jay, we've talked about this in the past, and he's a big proponent of that, and so am I. If you know that you're not going to run the 40 well, don't go and run it.
Right.
Don't think that you have to run the 40. You know what I'm saying? If you know that you're 6'3", 240, and you're running a 5'1", don't run that 40. Maybe you do things better in space. Do what you do best and showcase that. You know what I'm saying? When you come out, 6'3", 240 is not a bad thing. That could be a linebacker if he runs well. It also depends on the scheme he fits in. Go ahead, Coach Jay, and chime in on that.
Let me give you an example of why you don't run the 40. I just had a kid go to the camp and told him before he went, don't run the 40. Went, they said, hey, we need you to run a 40. He ran it anyway. Ran a 4.6, and they said, well, we were going to offer you, but you didn't run a 4.5. So I was like, dude, I told you, don't run it. So
right.
Those things are so important. Right now, I'm looking at TCU's roster. They got a D lineman, 6'4", 240. D lineman 6'5", 315. So again, D lineman 6'2", 320. D lineman 6'6", 250. So 6'3", 240 for a DN is doable at the P4 level if they're explosive. So again, it is what you bring to the table. Again, P4 has the money, the finances, the recruitment power to go out and get the top 400-500 guys in the country, meaning rankings. And we can sit here and say rankings don't matter, but I beg to differ because if you look at the class of 2025 ranking, they're already ranking colleges based on how many 5-stars they got, how many 4-stars they got. So it means something to somebody, right? If it did, they wouldn't go out and recruit all these guys. So I think it's just important to understand. Again, I always talk about leverage. What is your leverage? What do you bring to the table? Or your measurables? Can you jump? Can you bend at the hips? Or are you explosive? Can you turn a corner fast? Can you slow down? All of those things. What does your film look like? You don't have to have a ton of stats, but your stats have to jump off the page, i.e. Colin Simmons, right?
Right.
If you could play like that, then you're going Power 5,
right.
Power 4.
Right.
If you can play like that, anywhere close to that, you're a P4 guy.
Right.
But if you're a couple steps short of that, then that level, and again, it's always going to be based upon what they want, not what we want, what each school wants.
Right.
So again, there are a ton of kids, right? And let me say this to parents. Understand this. Early offers are great tools, but I caution you guys again, you better make it make sense on Friday night, okay? Because you can start off with and get really hot. But if your kid don't produce, or if they don't produce at a high level, by the time your junior year come around, your senior year come around, those phone calls will get colder and colder and colder. And before you know it, you won't have them because the production wasn't there. That early offer is just the thing to say, hey, I like what I see, let's keep this thing going. Let's build a relationship, but it's not contracted because you didn't sign anything. So they can pull it at any moment. If they don't see what they like, they can pull it. Or if they see something better. If you have a Power 4 school and they're recruiting 400 guys for 2 spots, common sense is they're not going to sign 400 guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that means you got to be top 2 out of all of those guys. So your production every week, what you do on the field, what you do off the field, all of those things matter. I think a lot of times, kids get away from that and forget that, and they think, hey, well, I got a whole bunch of offers. I don't have to work harder. No, you have to work harder to even keep those offers.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen a situation like that happen where a guy was on my team, and the college coaches came out to watch him play. It was a playoff game, and the other team, the player on the other team, ended up getting an offer over the player that was on my team. So they came to watch the player on my team,
right?
But the player on the other team ended up getting an offer over the player on my team because he wasn't playing hard. They felt that the other guy was better than the guy on my team. So
for sure,
it happens.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. And I tell parents, this has happened a lot lately, where a week or so before signing day, coaches will say, hey, we either went in a transfer portal or we found somebody better. And now you stuck out. Again, you haven't signed. It's a brutal business. They can do whatever they want to do. So the most important thing is, again, produce.
And then, that happens all the time. You get at the 9th hour and you're ready to sign, and, you get that phone call, or they talk to you, or they come up and say, we're going to go in a different direction. That happens all the time. And then you're scrambling, trying to find another place to go. And that, where I'm going next, the relationships that you've built mean a lot. You can never, badmouth or talk down or any school. It doesn't matter what level it is. If they come and talk to you, no matter where you are, you always be cordial to them. The relationships that you build when it comes to this business of recruiting is paramount to whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? And Coach Jay, this is where I'll go with the next post. A lot of kids are making a huge mistake getting offers and not maintaining the relationships. By not maintaining the relationships, it can hurt you in the event like what's happening more often. Now you go to ask for your papers a week or 2 before signing day, and the coach says, no, we've gone in another direction. Now if you try to go backwards and get those past offers with no relationship, the calls and the texts will go unanswered. It's a cold world. And Coach, you just kind of started on that about the relationships. You can have double-digit offers, but if you don't maintain those relationships with those guys, with these coaches, and the way the coaches move now, you can start, I tell people this all the time, the D2s and D3s, these coaches move up all the time.
Division 1.
Yeah. And you can, frown on them or treat them bad or talk crazy to them, and all of a sudden they at a G5 or Power 4, and you go into that room and they're there. You know what I'm saying? And you had a bad relationship, that can spoil you. You know what I mean? So, Coach Jay, I thought you were on some gym stuff this week. You dropping nuggets, and I thought that was great. With camp season, and we're in the thick of the recruiting cycles now. Just speak about that a little bit, because we talk about these type of things all the time, but now in the heavy recruiting cycle, like high school kids are getting recruited right now. The transfer portal is closed.
Yep.
And I happen to cover the University of Texas. They're building their 2025 class. They had a big weekend last weekend. They got about 14, 15 kids coming on campus this week.
They had a linebacker or a cornerback commit yesterday.
Caleb Chester from Fort Bend Marshall. Mm-hmm. Yes, 4-star recruit.
That's Jacoby Chester's little brother.
Right, yeah, from Fort Bend Marshall. You know him very well. And it's the relationship. He went on an official visit. He's been down there several times, but he went on an official last week, over the weekend, and he makes a decision to commit to Texas on yesterday. You know what I'm saying? But if he doesn't have their relationship with these schools, and Coach Jay, you talk about this all the time, just shed some light on that, because I think you were in your bag this week. I know you wake up with the morning inspiration a lot of times, and, it comes out like this because, I see your posts daily, but, you were in your bag this week, and you got it started right. So talk about the relationship building as well.
Yes, sir. Let me give you a real life example of what I mean by relationships. So, got a kid. This was a couple of years ago. Had maybe 10 or so offers, but had one, at the time P5 offer. Took that offer and basically cut everybody else off. I'm good. I don't want to talk to you no more. I'm gonna stick with this school that I got. So first year goes to the school, then gets red shirted. Second year, wasn't happy. Coaching change. Wasn't happy about the direction of everything going. Now, mind you, throughout this whole time, no relationship, no checking with the other coaches, or he didn't maintain those relationships back then. So fast forward, new staff come in. I don't like what's going on. Let me jump into the transfer portal and jump in. Nothing happens. No phone calls, no nothing. Why is that? Didn't have those relationships. Didn't have the film and didn't have the relationships that says, hey, coach, you remember we had many conversations. It was the phone went cold. They don't forget that.
Right.
They don't. And ended up not playing football anymore.
Right.
Unfortunately, and it happens a lot. And I tell a lot of parents, as a matter of fact, I know Candace love me. We'll use this as an example. We can use Candace Taylor as an example. Going into her son's senior year, there was a lot of frustration. He's doing everything he's supposed to do on the field. He's making things happen. What the heck is going on? And the conversation, I'm always thinking, where are the biggest issues? I know he's a quiet kid. So I said, Candace, this is what you need to do. Log into his Twitter. I guarantee you he's not answering coaches. I promise you that's what he's not doing. He's very quiet. He's reserved. He's probably thinking, man, if I reply to them fast, they're going to think, I'm jocking him. And guess what the problem was? He wasn't answering coaches. One switch, one thing, boom, recruitment shot up.
Right.
Started getting offers immediately once he fixed that. Communication rules the nation. If you're not communicating, if you're not, even now, I always tell the kid I have a grading system for when kids go to camps, and we can cover that at another time. But
sure.
Now, if you go to a camp and you leave a camp and all you get is, hey, I'm going to be in touch, and the coach follows you, that is the beginning of a relationship. If you don't know how to maintain that, then guess what? You're probably not going to get offered.
Right.
We, as parents, we thinking about our one kid, but we forget that these coaches are trying to find one out of many. So I will forget about you if I don't see you again, because I'm trying to find one, but I got a whole lot of kids to look at.
Right.
So if I don't hear from you, that means what? You're not interested in me. I'm not going to keep coming back. I'm not going to keep chasing you down when I got other kids blowing my phone up, sending me film every other day.
Right.
So sometimes we got to step outside of, what we are, where we are in the process, and look at the big picture and see what's missing. What can I do better?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Well, it makes a lot of sense.
Communication piece is important.
Absolutely. But, and I was having this conversation the other night with a parent. Sometimes you got to get up. I think we said this a couple weeks ago. We had someone on and they said they sent out 100 emails a day. You have to really make yourself visible. If you're not making yourself visible, how can you be seen? You know what I mean? Period.
Because some coaches some coaches aren't even able to reach out to players.
Right.
So it does matter of with you helping yourself, being able to market yourself and show coaches that you can play, and send out film. Because I know a coach that does that for his players. He has over like 100 D2s that he sends out. Because everybody can't play Division I.
For sure.
So he sends out, film to Division IIs all the time, JUCOs, NAIAs all the time, and you get a lot of good feedback, But that matters a lot.
But the kids need to understand, and parents need to understand, your kids have to do the heavy lifting.
Right.
Yes, it's great. It's great that a coach does it, but the way recruiting works now, if you don't show that I want it just as bad, there's a whole lot of kids playing this game.
Absolutely.
And coaches will not babysit you. They're not trying to find a kid that, unfortunately, with the transfer portal, I don't have to groom nobody. I'm plug and playing.
Absolutely.
So, and that goes on every level, right? Every college coach from NAIA to JUCO got an opportunity to get somebody out the transfer portal.
Right.
So, with that being said, your kid got to be in high school already understanding that I have to leverage everything I got. I have to be able to put myself in a position where these guys know I'm serious.
You have to be available to these coaches. You know what I'm saying? And the way to make yourself available is getting out there and really grinding for it. And that's what I was explaining to a parent the other night. You know, you guys are going to have to come together, you know, because, you know, the kid's in 2025, and he's been camping and he picked up an offer recently, but you can't stop with one offer, you know. And listen, that offer you got, like you said, you got to reach back and talk to him, you know. And it was also a case where, you know, you got coaches in the DMs and they're not paying attention to it, you know what I mean? And they're going about their life. And I realize you have a busy life, but, you know, this is a business. Sometimes these coaches don't have time to stop and pay attention and smell the roses and see what they see. You know, like you said, Coach, they can offer 200 kids, but they only taking 20. You know what I'm saying? And that might not be but 7 or 8 high school kids. You know, every
Absolutely.
staff is different. You know, with the days of the transfer portal, there's no days off. Like, you should be doing something every day to impact your recruiting, whether it's you know, emailing, calling, DMing, you know, posting your film to your Twitter. You know, if I got something to post on Twitter, you start early in the morning, hit it in the midday, and hit it in the afternoon. You have to make yourself visible. And when you're posting something on Twitter, you have to make sure you're tagging the right people so that you can get the visibility. You know what I mean? So those are the type of things that you have to do. Recruiting is a whole bag of things that you have to do now. It's not just about showing up to camp, but you have to do all of those things. And then I'll throw another nugget in there. And you know, Jordan, I'll start with you, and then Coach Jay. You got to let these guys know that you're coming to the camp. You know, if they don't know you, they're not going to be looking for it unless you do something extraordinary, or that you have the measurables. You know, you pass the eye test when you come out. We were talking about, you know, certain fits as far as position goes. Have someone reach out, whether it's your high school coach, a guy like Coach Jay or myself, or yourself. Hey, my guy's coming. You know, I need you guys to look at him, give him a good look, you know, give him some feedback, let him know. Because if they don't know who you are, you know, you're going to be, you know, in the bag of tricks with a whole bunch of kids that kind of look alike. You know what I'm saying? If it's just a running back position, it's going to be a lot of guys out there just 5'9" and 170. You know what I'm saying? But are you 5'9", 170, you running a 4.4? Are you 5'9", 170, and you can catch well? You know what I'm saying? And then you got a guy that's 6 foot 190 at running back. They're gonna look at him more and chiseled up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so those are the things that you have to do. And just talk about that. You know, as you go to a camp, somebody helping you to get there, Jordan.
So first off, you know, with the camps, being able to go in knowing that you have someone that's able to put you out there is very important. For instance, like myself, I have guys that I send to camps that, you know, I'm able to connect with the people who are hosting the camps.
For sure.
Letting them know that, you know, I have X, Y, and Z coming. You know, he plays linebacker, he plays running back. And I'm able to get that to you or whoever hosting the camp, whether it's Rivals, On 3, whoever.
Right.
Let them know, you know, hey, this is my guy. He's not highly recruited. You know, take a look at him, see what he got, you know. So there's some things that I do, you know, when it comes to things like that.
Absolutely, Coach Jay. You always, you know, you've gone so far when you take these guys out, you know, in the past, and still doing it, directing them to the right camps and seeing the right people. That gives you an edge. So when you get there, and then, you know, it's just like when you're running for an office, you have to shake hands and kiss babies. You know, I've talked to guys or talked to parents. Hey, go shake that position coach's hand. You know, it's not just about posing for a picture with them. You know, get to know them. Talk to them. Relationship building. You know, it's just like you're trying to date someone. You know, you're not going to, you know, if you see a nice looking woman, you're trying to date her, you're not going to just make one pass at her. You're going to really try to get to know her. You know what I'm saying? Everything is about relationship building. Coach Jay, just talk about that a little bit when it comes to getting yourself ready to go to a camp, how you have to approach it and do, you know, we talk about this being a student of the game, but that's also doing your homework as well.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So just a few things I teach my guys. Number one, we don't go to a camp unprepared, meaning, number one, you got to know how to camp. And that's where exposure camps and all of that stuff beforehand give you the background information on if your kid is ready. So we're going to go to FB or any kind of exposure camp or flex zone, something that you can go to where it's a bunch of kids, that a great competitive environment, so you can see, number one, are you getting reps? Number two, how do you look with those reps? Then we're going to test. We're going to see if the 40 is good. If not, we'll scrap it. We're going to see what the standing broad jumps look like. We're going to make sure that you can run those drills. But the mindset, right? That's one part of it. Then, before we go to the camp, you got to give me 5 to 10 talking points on the coach that coaches your position. The biggest thing that coaches hate is kids showing up and don't know who they are.
Absolutely.
Don't know nothing about the school.
Right.
They just know you there to just be there, right? Kids that are serious are going to know what they're getting themselves into.
Right.
Trust me, they know.
Absolutely.
So before we go, those are the things. The car don't start if we don't have that information. Number one.
Absolutely.
Right? So that way, when you get there, if a coach says anything to you, oh, I remember that because guess what? I did my homework. And a coach is always going to be like, oh, I like that because you're a student athlete, right? So I'm giving y'all free game on this. Now, also, we want to work the room. We want to go and find, who the sports writers that are there, who the coaching staff. Introduce yourself. The more people that see you, that knows your name, that's more eyes on you when the camp starts. You got to remember, it's anywhere from 80 to 400 kids at these camps. Might be max 30, 40 coaches. How are they going to remember 80 to 400 kids? How? It's impossible, especially when they got multiple camps every week coming up. So you have to do something if you're not tall, if you're not 4'2" blazing fast, to stand out. And that's going to be the communication. You looking these coaches in the eye saying, hey, you need to watch me. I'm coming to eat. I'm coming to put in some work and then go out and get a massive amount of reps. They're going to remember that. It works every single time. If you're not prepared to do all of those things, then you're risking not getting what you want when you leave. And then you'll be that kid that posts, hey, I had a great time, blah, 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 blah.
And it all comes. Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it happens a lot because, again, kids go thinking, I can go to a college camp to get exposure. No, you can't. You have to be prepared. There's a whole lot of stuff you can do unless, again, you're that kid that walks in and everything you do is amazing. And they say, okay, wait, who is that kid? You go and broad jump 9.8. You go run a 4.3, 4.40. Of course they're going to look at you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because you have something that very few people have. But if what you do is on par with everybody else, how can they see you if you just show up?
Well, here's two things, and I'll throw it out there. You go to a college camp to get an offer. You go to an exposure camp to get exposure. There's two different things.
There it is.
You can't logo chase. I understand. You grow up as a LSU fan. And you want to go. You can go to the younger camp that they have for guys. Youth. That's fine. But when you're going to LSU as a high schooler, you're going to get an offer. They're not there to cover you. They're there to offer you. They're looking at this as an exposure to get an offer from. They're looking to offer guys. You know what I'm saying? And when they give you an invite, they're inviting so they can you can get in front of them, develop that relationship, and see if you have the goods or the skill set that interests them. Exposure camp, the FBUs, the flex zones, the rivals, the Under Armour camps, that's about exposure. So you have to know the difference between those two.
Got a question.
Go ahead.
So do you guys feel like exposure camps benefit or hurt the highly recruited high school players?
So two things about that. If they're already on the radar, they're looking to build their exposure. You know what I mean? If you don't have that much exposure around you, and you're good, this is to ramp it up. It's to get it started. So you have to know how to go in there and do that. You know what I mean? That's how you get on the radar. Before we get out of here, Coach, we're going to talk about the flex zone real quick. The thing about the flex zone is that's your jump start to getting your exposure. Flex zone focused at the beginning on the youth. And when we say youth, we're talking about from 5th through 9th grade. Those guys need that exposure so that they can begin their recruiting process. The flex zone is a perfect example of jumpstarting your exposure because you're going to get the media access, you're going to get the coaching as well, and then you're going to get the social media driven behind it. Those three things in threefold from that particular camp has jumpstarted a lot of guys. They're sophomores and freshmen now. You know, that the flex zone helped those guys. I was there when they did it. You know, now these guys have gone on to, you know, play in high school. They've gotten offers and things like that, and even the prep red zone camps when it starts at the middle school level. The early identification and the early exposure is what those camps are all about. You have to, if the player has the skill set at an early age, it's identifiable at these camps. That's what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're not there, you know, to get gloves and you know, wear a brand or whatever. You're there you have to take it like a business. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of things that we talk about every week. Those camps are helpful, but you know, it's not just about the rankings. It's positioning yourself to be ranked. You know, you have to get yourself when ranking. The thing about rankings is you have to get yourself in the eyes or in front of certain people that rank these players. You know, and everything about rankings is just someone's opinion. Rankings differ; they're not all the same. But you have to be able to be exposed to be ranked, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? And Coach, before we get out of here, we're about to wrap up. Flex Zone, July 11th, under the lights. 7 p.m., Bishop Dunn High School. Listen, if you got a youth football player, girls and boys, this is the camp that you want to go to. July 11th, right here in the Dallas area. It's been a jump start, like I just said, for a lot of kids at the youth level, their exposure. Some of the best in the country have gone on. It's definitely in the state of Texas have gone on and been guys on the high school level now that have their exposure ramped up. Coach, just speak on that a little bit before we get out of here real quick.
No, absolutely. Guys are getting noticed, and the mindset is what we're really focused on with Flex Zone. And Mark has been a part of it, you know, from very early. And we really pride ourselves on getting these guys exposure, but not just the exposure, but giving them the mentality when they come of how to go and get reps. All the guys that came and did well, they have gone on, and we get these messages
all the time.
I say, man, Flex Zone is the best because it did so much in preparing us for what we saw when we got to these college camps.
Absolutely.
We want to mimic, you know, and actually speed up the process of what you're going to see. We don't let kids stand in the back. We're forcing you to get reps. We're forcing you to go and face a dog. If you're in the 5th grade, we want you to go against a 7th grader.
Absolutely.
So that way you get to know very early what that looks like.
Absolutely.
We are not, you know, biased on, you know, who's there. We don't care who's there, honestly. It doesn't matter what your name is. You coming to get work, period,
Absolutely.
point blank. You got to come eat. If not, I don't know what else to tell you.
Right.
But we are, and we throwing in a whole lot of new wrinkles this year, thanks to Calvin Davis.
Shout out to Coach
for
Davis.
the QB.
Absolutely.
So you guys, man, I promise you, it is. We're going to continue. You know, we want the kids that want to come and work and get better, get coached up from our NFL guys to our collegiate guys. Whoever come, our job is to really coach you up. A lot of people get caught up in, you know, who gets MVP, who doesn't. Honestly, we care more about the work. My kids ain't never won MVP at any one of the Flex Zones because just particularly that day, they just weren't the best, and it is what it is.
Absolutely.
So, you know, but now going back to your thing, Jordan, real quick, what you were saying about the stock rising or falling if kids going to exposure camps and things like that. I think it's all mindset, and again, everybody's different. However they do it, I don't know if there's a right or wrong way, but I know a lot of kids are told if you got 4 stars or 5 stars, don't go in camp. I'll give you an example, 2 examples real quick. Some years ago, we were in Ohio at a big time camp, and they had an All-American game. So Kayvon Thibodeau was a part of that group for the All-American game at the Hall of Fame. It was a Hall of Fame, American Bowl for high school guys. So you had, all your 4 or 5-star top guys there that weekend. So they came out to the camp, all the guys. Somebody called out Kayvon Thibodeau. He went, got his cleats, put them on, and started racing and camping and dominating everybody. Like, you got me twisted. Just because you think I'm a 5-star, no, don't call me out. And he put in work. So I think it's just a mindset. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? And even though my son was ranked 3-star, 4-star on different ones, every camp he went to, the mindset was, I'm a no-star. I'm finna eat everybody lunch like I'm trying to get you. You a 5-star. I'm finna eat your lunch like you're a 5-star. If
Absolutely.
you go with that mindset, whether you win a rep or lose a rep, it's the mindset that coaches care about most. So I think a lot of times guys get so caught up in, losing reps or losing leverage that they forget to just go out and dominate. You know what I'm saying? And of course, you're not going to win them all anyway, regardless of what you do. But if you have that mindset, I'm going to dominate, that's going to help you later more than it'll hurt you.
Absolutely, man. Listen, great show today. We hit it home with the message I think that was sent, man. This is a big topic. I think you can learn a lot from what we talked about today. Of course, as always, Coach Jay from Coast to Coast Athletics, my guy Jordan Grant. Listen, he'll be tapping in from time to time. You know what I'm saying? He's in the family now. He'll be at the Flex Zone one-on-ones on July the 11th well.
I definitely will be there. I want to give a shout-out to the city of Fort Worth. I want everybody to come out and, show Coach Jay, Coach Davis, Mark himself a good time.
I need some of them Fort Worth kids, Jordan.
Yes, sir, indeed, of course. I want to invite all my forward people out to the Flex Zone under the lights at Bishop Dunn Catholic School in Dallas, Texas. I will be posting on my page as well as the address. And it is July 11th. And we will be there.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, great show today. Follow us right here each week, right here on the On Your Mark show from the Fishbowl Radio Network, proud and sponsored by Epic Sports Apparel. This will be on the On Your Mark show YouTube channel later on today. Like, subscribe, and follow. Listen, follow hornsports.com as well. Lots of recruiting nuggets going on. Follow the platform dr.com as well. There'll be a lot of nuggets and things in recruiting and off-season camps and stuff like that going on. Listen, we appreciate you joining us. Want to shout out to Lee Feaster for watching, Greg Hammer for tapping in today. Shout out to you guys always in the fam. Listen, holler at me if you need me. You know where to find me. We out. Shout out to my guy Maynard Mike as he takes us out.
Hey, this Manna Mike. I'm not sure what you own, but this here is on the mark. Like a spiral from a 5-star recruit, we throwing darts, really focused. WD-40 couldn't stop the way we grinded. In the trenches, putting that work in, I relate to all my linemen. This is for the men, the boys do not belong here. Tiptoeing to the top, we doing cone drills. The hottest show in the world, you don't even gotta search. Steady putting in work, you see the sweat up on my shirt. They wasn't aware of us at first, we wasn't on their radar. Now every play that we make, they gon' say, similar to a razor blade, we gon' stay sharp. The news ain't official if it's not on the mark.